What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. To my left, you see you have Justin. Justin is here. Justin, how's it going today?
I'm tired. It's 8 a.m. I just helped get out teaching a big rehearsal.
I was in.
I was running around a lot. I was the main director. Liam's in the back. He's gonna be doing the audio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you guys just basically kidnapped me and threw me into here and told me I had to speak. So yeah, that's so. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. Jake, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Just did that whole rehearsal thing, but in class. But now we're here. So let's start off. Let's start off with what? Let's start with this. Atlanta Hawks fired Nate McMillan, named the assistant, the interim. What are your thoughts on that?
I liked it. I kind of agree with it. It was almost. It almost reminds me of like a Cliff Kingsbury kind of situation where Cliff came in as the interim head coach, did well as it, even took them to a playoff.
Cliff was a full-time guy.
Oh, no, right, full-time, excuse me. Yeah,
I see what you're saying. I see where this is going.
Yeah, but it's like, kind of became full-time, took them far. They did well. And then after that, just kind of had an awful year and then got fired. Now that's a little bit different, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But Nate McMillan is the same, to where, remember, Lloyd Pierce got fired in closer to maybe 20 games into the 2020-2021 season. Nate McMillan comes in. We're not sure how this guy is going to do. He takes them to the 5th seed. They make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, even beating a stacked 76ers team. They forced them to 7. I think they forced Milwaukee to 5 or 6 games. So yeah, they had a good run. They had what I would argue Nate McMillan could have deserved Coach of the Year that year for that win, but Thibodeau won it, and I also agree with that too. But then ever since then, he has not been good. He has not performed at all. He's also a bit of a hothead on the sidelines. I can see also for a team that's supposed to be this stacked. I mean, this team probably has on paper one of the best top 3 young cores in the league.
Yeah.
All these guys are really young. Trae Young is, young, no pun intended. DeJounte Murray's young. John Collins is young, who they want to trade every single day, but they never do. Clint Capella's young, and they all have a lot of talent. And to be this bad, you have to start looking at the coach. So I think it was a good fire.
Yeah, McMillan's I think he's a mediocre coach. Everywhere he's been good enough maybe to get you to the playoff, but not much further. It happened in Indiana. It happened. I forgot where else he was, but it definitely happened in Indiana. Before Indiana, he was somewhere. It happened there as well, and it's happened in Atlanta. Like you said, he came in when they fired Pierce midseason, and he was as the interim. He did a great job, completely turned them around. They went all the way to the conference finals. And then they came in last year thinking this might be a top 4 team in the conference, and they were. Did they even get out of the plans? I think they barely got out of the plans.
Yeah, they barely got into the plans.
And they're a 500 team. They're like, all right, this is the year.
Yeah, they made it to the playoffs and then lost in 5 to Miami.
Yeah, and then this year, all right, this is the year. They should be a top 5 team. And again, they're extremely mediocre. The players hate the dude. At one point, Trae Young just didn't even show up because there was so much tension between McMillan and Trae. McMillan almost retired midseason because he was so miserable. It was not gonna work. It was not gonna work, and it was the right move.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I said there's a difference between Cliff and Nate McMillan, the situation, is because if you look at the Cliff Kingsbury situation, which it is kind of similar to, Cliff kind of got screwed over by Kyler.
Yeah.
Kyler is a massive baby. I think the talent is there. I just don't think he doesn't use it. For Kyler, because if he actually gets off Call of Duty and watches film, he could easily be a top 5 QB in the NFL.
Sure.
But he got screwed over. But he screwed over Cliff because he just didn't perform. He didn't perform. He decided to play Call of Duty instead of watching film, and he was just an overall child. Nate McMillan, however, deserves to get fired. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, John Collins, Clint Capella, they cannot do more. It's like when Trey Young is pulling up from the logo and you still lose, why are you, how much more, how is it Trey Young's fault? How is it DeJounte Murray's fault? The answer is it's not.
Yeah, and just like this team for a year and a half now has underperformed last year and this year. They probably should be top 5 in the East, and
Especially this year.
especially this year. And last year they were like 8th, and this year they're like 8th or 9th. Last year they got out of the play-in, but then you get smoked by Miami in the first round. That's probably at this point that might just be their ceiling. They're not even guaranteed to make the play-in.
Yeah,
They
their
should.
stealing should be Eastern Conference Finals.
It should be, but what it's going to be is probably another 5-game series loss to either the Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks. So, and just
Philly even,
yeah,
Sixers,
and combine that with just being just the tension in the locker room that there was between the players and him, especially Trae Young, who is their star, and he's got this whole thing with the contract coming up, and I'm hearing he might request a trade and such this offseason. We'll see what happens there. It was just time. It was only a matter of time. I did think he was going to get fired. I thought they'd wait till the end of the season, but I guess they looked at the team. They were like, they realized, I mean, a couple of years ago with Lloyd Pierce, they were floundering. They were like, just trying to fight just to get in. And then they fired him and brought in McMillan, and they turned him around. Maybe if they felt the same thing could happen again, so they figured they'd give it a try. Worst case, they lose in the play-ins, and then they kind of reboot next year, I guess.
Yeah. Also, there was a tweet that I saw this morning that you showed me about somebody who said that Trae Young got 2 coaches fired. Okay. Let me cook for a second. How did he get 2 coaches fired? Lloyd Pierce started Dwayne Dedman. He started Dwayne Dedman.
He was not very good at that.
Even when he had Capella, he started Dwayne Dedman. I could not believe it. Are you telling me if I pick up Clint Capella as a GM and I see my coach decide to I'm a decide to start this like 31-year-old foul prone idiot, because that's why he's not a smart basketball player, I'd fire him too. And then also Trae Young got Nate McMillan fired. Look at all the pieces that we went over this. We explained all of the pieces that Nate McMillan had to work with, and he's not performing with it. Yeah. It's not like a Darvin Ham situation or a Frank Vogel situation to where outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis for 10 games, Frank Vogel and Darvin Ham have no pieces.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you Darvin Ham's going to get fired. They will point the finger at him.
If they don't make the plans, I wouldn't be surprised. LeBron will be like, oh, it's his fault. I'm sure he will. But yeah, it was the right move. Now I heard that it looks like Quinn Snyder's going to be the next guy, and then they're looking at Udoka. I heard Charles Lee was mentioned. What do you think about Quinn Snyder? What do you think about Quinn Snyder going to Atlanta?
I like it. The Jazz had a lot of internal issues when he was there. It wasn't just that Gobert and Mitchell and Donovan Mitchell weren't getting along. He kind of didn't really. I mean, it would be tough with like 2 of your best players by far there was infighting with. Yeah. I could get that because things won't mesh. They won't be able to synergize as well. That's the problems that you get. So, but I think and yeah, it is kind of Quinn Snyder's fault, the Jazz, to where there was one point where they were the best team in the league by far, and they were a second round exit, and that was like their ceiling, a second round exit. And it wasn't even like the players' fault. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has monster games in the playoffs. Remember in the bubble, those were incredible games. No one could blame him, even against the Clippers when they lost. No one could blame him. But I think for the Hawks right now, excellent pickup. I think he has that coaching experience, that veteran experience that they need. I think he's a likable guy. And I think they could benefit from him. If you just want him, if you want him to get you to win, 55 games, then probably him.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best option out there. The top 2 coaches basketball wise right now in whatever way you want to put them are Quinn Snyder and Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka has some issues that Quinn Snyder doesn't really have. Last time I checked, I do not believe Quinn Snyder had an affair
No,
with a
but
staff member.
Ime Udoka might get it too, because Ime
He's a
Udoka.
great coach.
Ime
He just has
Udoka's
baggage.
Ime Udoka's coming in with baggage, but also people need to remember Ime Udoka wasn't suspended by the NBA; he was
Correct.
suspended by the
Correct.
Celtics.
Yeah.
And also they just promoted Joe
Mazzulla.
Mazzulla to head coach, which basically means that Ime's kind of fired.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Look, with that, there's something we don't know if Udoka what actually happened. I really think the Celtics told him you got two options. You let us hold you hostage, and we will not release any more information, or you can go take another job. But I think then they would release more information.
Maybe they will release more information.
I really,
at this point, the damage has been done.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, finding out who did it is not going to be as big of an issue as what he did.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably not going to say the name unless it's like a big figure. Like, unless if it was like a major front office member, they'll probably release the name.
Yeah.
But if it's not, then it probably won't be that big of a thing.
Yeah.
But
they'll probably release their position if it's big enough, but the name they may or may not.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The name they would release. But Ime going to the Hawks would also be huge. Remember, this is a guy that literally at an All-Star break turned a Celtics team that was what, eighth?
Yeah.
Eighth in they were like a play-in team, and then they became a finals team.
Yeah.
In 3 months. That's an insane turnaround. That's definitely a major piece to go onto the resume, and that's probably why I think that he might be the front runner for the Hawks job.
Yeah, he's the best coach available basketball wise. It just depends if you're a GM. Do you want the negative PR that may come of hiring him? That's the only thing. If honestly,
I mean, it would be kind of funny though to watch that press conference and then somebody on like from the local Atlanta papers like, Ime, I'm here, Atlanta Daily or whatever. There probably is a name of that. It's like, you were suspended by the Celtics for having an affair with a staff member. Are you planning on doing that with any of the Hawks people?
That will be.
Are you planning on cheating on Nia Long a second time?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting household right now. But yeah, I could see him getting it. It looks like it's going to Quinn Snyder, and I think he's a good coach. He's been coach of the year before. Like you said, him and Spider and Gobert did not get along. They didn't get along. He had to be like the peacemaker with that. And outside of those two guys, they really didn't build anything. You had Mike Conley, who's a decent scoring guard. You had
Joe Ingles, who's washed.
Joe Ingles, who's a decent 3-and-D guy, but a little older. You had Clarkson, who's a really good scoring guard on the bench. Outside of that,
there were no pieces. You had like Hassan Whiteside coming off the bench.
They need a couple more pieces, and for whatever reason, if anything, it's more on the front office for not.
Oh yeah,
building around. You had Donovan Mitchell. You had two young studs in Gobert and Mitchell, and they just chose. I don't know why they didn't build around those two guys. They just didn't. But yeah, he's never made out of second round, which is definitely a knock on him. But this is an Atlanta team that can't make it out of the play-ins somehow, some way.
Yeah, the farthest they've ever made was the Eastern Conference Finals. That was only once, and that was when they weren't even supposed to be there.
Yeah. The only other time they made the Eastern Conference Finals, you could argue, was when their entire strong was in the All-Star game. You could argue they should have went to the finals. So.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think definitely will be a huge upgrade if they can get Quinn Snyder.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Let's talk some more NBA. We got the second half of the season about to start. So Justin, who is your pretender and your contender in each conference?
My contender for Wembanyama is the San Antonio Spurs. That's my contender for Wembanyama. Let me just explain to you guys why the league is screwed if the Spurs get the number 1 overall pick. Does anyone remember the last time Greg Popovich got a number 1 overall pick on his team?
Tim Duncan.
It's Tim Duncan. And what did he do to Tim Duncan? Well, he made him one of the most dominant power forwards the league has ever seen.
Yeah.
Probably a top 5 power forward of all time.
I would say number 1.
Probably the best power forward of all time. Now you got Wembanyama, to where you could, I don't know what he is, he's everything. But
crazy.
for this point, I say he plays more of like a power forward position. Yeah, I think he's more of like a power forward. So now, if the lottery comes up, and all of a sudden number one is the San Antonio Spurs, if I am not a Spurs fan, I'm crying. I'm crying to my mom. Really, I am. Because Wembenyama is all of a sudden going to take that team to a finals, right? He's going to win. He's going to be like the first player ever to win Rookie of the Year and MVP same year. Uh, he's going to win like 8 titles. He's going to win like 8 chips, 5 MVPs. That's what he's going to do, all because Greg Popovich coached him.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. So they're my contender but anyway, okay, so for each conference. My pretender for the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat, they're a bunch of frauds and a bunch of losers. But no, in all seriousness, my pretender. No, it's the Heat. Yeah, it's the Heat. No. Yeah, it's the Heat. You know what? Can we go to the West first?
Sure.
I gotta think. My pretender for the West is, once again, as it was last year, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The pretender?
Yep. I'm not sold on this team. I never was sold on this team. They gave up way too much in the trade.
Yes, they did.
And then for D'Angelo Russell, they gave up even more for him. They gave up way too many pieces. None of those trades for Rudy Gobert or for whoever the hell they got out of the D'Lo one, they didn't win. And Karl Anthony Towns is out. Even if he's in, he's not going to make a big difference. The starting lineup is just okay, and it's all they have. Your starting lineup is Anthony Edwards. It's Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and then okay, who next?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like this team. I think there's also a lot of ego on it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, it wouldn't surprise me if next year it comes out that there are locker room issues. Because just all the ego on it, and I think they are a play-in exit. My contender, I'm gonna go with a bit of a different one here because, obviously there's there's usually the obvious contenders, like the Nuggets and the Grizzlies and the Suns, but I'm going to go for an underrated pick. Let's talk about the Sacramento Kings.
Interesting.
I think they are a contender this year. Do I think they make it all the way to the finals? Probably not. But if I'm Memphis, if I'm Denver, even if I'm the Suns, I'd be a little worried. I could see them taking the Suns to 7. I can see them taking the Mavericks to 7. This is a good team. This is a solid team. I was humbly surprised that they didn't trade away all their pieces in the trade deadline like they always do, because they have a good-looking team. De'Aaron Fox is having one of his best years ever. Domantas Sabonis is having a great year. Keegan Murray is playing very well. Probably not Rookie of the Year, but because Paolo's just a beast. But they're a quality, a solid team. So I actually think they could go as far as the Western Conference Finals at their peak, and they could really do some numbers in the playoffs.
That'll be interesting. They got a good young team. You got De'Aaron Fox, Davion Mitchell, Sabonis. On paper, they probably still shouldn't have traded Halliburton for Sabonis. Sabonis is a really good piece to have.
Well, yeah, and also it ended up working out. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is, to me, my front runner for most improved player.
Yeah, and then they do get back Domantas Sabonis, because who is a great player. So they have a nice team there. As long as the front office doesn't screw it up, they should be.
Kevin Huerter too.
I
forget about Kevin Huerter.
He's a good shooter.
He's so good.
He's a nice piece to have, and Mike Brown has done a really good job with that team. I don't think he gets enough credit.
He's my coach of the year
because it's either him, Joe Mazzulla, or I don't even know who else.
The reason why he's going to be coach of the year is because coach of the year does not necessarily go to the team that did the best.
Yeah.
Coach of the year goes to the coach who turned a team that was irrelevant into a contender. And that's what Mike Brown did. Yeah. Well, last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, except for that 1 month with Boogie Cousins, they were a laughingstock.
Yeah.
No one looked at them. No one cared about them. The Kings were a free. The Kings to all these guys were a free win.
Yeah.
That's what they were. And then all of a sudden, Mike Brown comes along and says, "All right, that's it. I've had enough with being, I've had enough with this team being like poked at. We're gonna bring something good to Sacramento," and he did. If I'm the town of Sacramento, I'd be rooting for this team.
Yeah.
It's finally something you can root for there because you don't have much. It's the capital of California. That's it. You don't got much in Sacramento.
Yeah.
But it's almost the same reason why Thibodeau won it. Same reason why
Yeah.
Monty Williams won it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you had Thibs, you had Monty. He took a team that was like
The Suns were like the ultimate laughing stock,
yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah, that's why he won it. And like the first year he didn't win it because he took a good team and made them great. But Dibs took a team that was completely irrelevant and made them good.
Yeah, made them good.
And then Monty, the year after he...
If you asked me last year, I thought it should have been Taylor Jenkins.
I did too, because Taylor Jenkins took a playing team to the second seed in the West. Monty basically did as expected.
Monty took a number 1 overall team to a second round exit where you lose by 45.
No, but Chris Paul had a big 3 cut to 42.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. That's got to be one of the most clutch plays of all time, really. As for the East, I think I have an answer for you.
Okay.
My contender is all right, now let's start this. My pretender's the 76ers. My pretender's Philly. I don't trust this team with my life. I don't know how any Sixers fans can trust this team with their life. The process has not been working for the past 40 years. Joel Embiid's a very good player. James Harden's a very good player. Tyrese Maxey's a good player. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? What's your pieces after that? You got Furkan Korkmaz, who's like your one depth piece, who's like the depth piece. That's not that good. Is gone. They just don't have anybody outside of that starting line. They almost lost to the Grizzlies yesterday. If Joel Embiid didn't block that, the Grizzlies win that game. It's also Doc Rivers is not that good of a coach. I'm sorry, he's an overrated coach. He's not top 15 all time. The person I think deserves to take that 15th spot over him is Nick Nurse because he actually bought a chip to Toronto, their first ever one of the franchise. Compared to Doc Rivers, had like 9 Hall of Famers, only won a single and only won 1 ring. If that was any other coach, they win 3 rings with that team. So that's my pretender. As always, they are frauds. My contender, I mean, it's probably the Celtics. I don't know who else gonna beat the Celtics. I mean, need I say more? They just have everybody.
Mm.
They have every good player. Jason Tatum is arguably the MVP of the season. He's definitely going to be in the conversation. Jaylen Brown's a good side piece. Probably not a good one guy, but he's a good 2 for Jaylen Brown. For Jaylen Brown. Their starting lineup is insane. Their bench is insane. You have Malcolm Brogdon, Mike Muscala, they're coming off the bench. I think it's a solid start. I think it's a solid lineup all around. Joe Mazzulla's done a great job. He's also in contention for Coach of the Year too. I don't know who beats this team in the East. Yeah. I think if the big 3 Milwaukee is healthy, they take it to 7. But I don't even think they beat the Celtics either.
Yeah, that's a good point for the East. I'm just gonna get out of the way. My contender in the East is also the Boston Celtics. They got Jaylen Brown's who's probably top 5 in the game. Jaylen Brown might be the best number 2 in the league. You got Robert Williams.
Jason Tatum.
Who?
Jason Tatum's the best top 5 guy.
Yeah, and then I said Jaylen Brown is probably the best number 2 guy in the league. Yep. You have Rob Williams is a very good center, great score inside, really good rim protector, shot blocker. And that team is so deep. In the backcourt, you have Marcus Smart. You have Malcolm Brogdon. In the front court, you got you also have Derek White in the backcourt. You got in the front court, you got Mike Muscala. You got Al Horford. That team is
Grant Williams.
That team is so deep. They have 3-point shooting. They have rebounding. They
have defense.
They can defend. They're well coached. They have everything. If I was building a team from scratch, it would look something very similar to the Boston Celtics. That would be my goal. So I think the only team that has a shot is a healthy Bucks team. Like I said, I'm not even sure if they're going to do it, and Lord knows that if they'll even be healthy, because Chris Middleton's had a lot of injury concerns this year, so I'm not even sure if he'll even be there for that.
And he got the
series.
he got the Anthony Davis gene for no reason. Just his kneecap always just snaps off for no reason. It's like a Lego, you know.
Yeah, and then my contender in the East, my pretender in the East is actually the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Ooh,
So
I agree. I could see it.
I like this team. Donovan Mitchell is obviously a great player, and this young core is fantastic. They're going to be good for a long time, and I think eventually they will win at least one championship. You know, Darius Garland is an incredible point guard. You got so many good young big guys: Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, who was Rookie of the Year last year. Even Karis LeVert, he's been inconsistent, but when he's on, he is very good. I like Jimmy Bickerstaff, what he's done there. But this team is just really young.
It is young. It's inexperienced.
It's inexperienced. I mean, experience isn't absolutely everything, but I think in football it doesn't matter quite as much. I think in basketball, with playoff experience matters a little bit more. Which is, I think that's the reason why the Golden State Warriors won last year. They were just so much more experienced than everybody. Like on paper, the Memphis Grizzlies I thought had a shot to win that series, but Golden State was just so much more experienced. Also Ja got hurt, but Golden State was just so much more experienced. They basically wiped the floor with them, and then and then and the other teams they played, Dallas in the conference finals, Boston in the finals. Those are teams that on paper had a shot to beat them, especially Boston. But Golden State was just so much more experienced. So the inexperience, and also Donovan Mitchell, besides the bubble year, he has not been great in the playoffs. In my opinion, he hasn't been quite the same outside of the bubble in the postseason. He wasn't great last year, I didn't think. In the postseason, I know Justin give me a look. He's looking up numbers. I haven't loved what I've seen from him in the postseason. And also, they're a little inconsistent. They can't really defend the three very well, which I think will hurt them. In fact, I honestly think, the New York Knicks, I'm a Knicks fan. I don't think the Knicks get out of the first round, but I think the Knicks might beat them would have a shot.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Yes, the bubble season was crazy, and in that bubble year, he averaged 36 points per game.
He went off in the bubble.
But then in 2021, he averaged 32 points per game. Yeah, and then last year he averaged 25, which is still good numbers.
So
those are solid numbers. For 32 points per game in over 10 games is very impressive.
Right,
and also, it's not his fault that they were a first round exit.
That's true. That's true. I mean, my thing is, I thought he could have willed them a little further. His numbers are definitely better than I thought they were. I thought they were a little bit lower. Also, I thought he was a little inconsistent in the postseason. He had some games where he's had a bunch of games where he's really every year, especially in the bubble, where he had those 30, 40, 50-point games. But he also had some games where he didn't show up. And as a superstar, you cannot be inconsistent in the postseason. So that's my one concern. I probably should have said inconsistent more than struggled. So that's my issue. And
May is a little inconsistent, but and I get numbers aren't everything.
Right.
But I mean, if you look at the numbers, he actually is pretty good in the playoffs. Yeah.
Overall,
I mean, when he is on, he is a very good player in the playoffs.
Absolutely, yeah.
All he needs to do is reach that consistency. I think Cleveland is where he's going to do it. I think this is it. And also, to jump off what you were saying about Cleveland being a pretender, I agree. They are one piece away, though. They are one piece away from being a contender. Maybe a guy with a little bit more veteran experience, isn't like 90 years old like Kevin Love. But I think they are close to where they need to be. And JB Bickerstaff also should be a contender for Coach of the Year.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're definitely a piece away. And just Spidey's been a little inconsistent. He's had when he's on, he is probably one of the 5 best guys in the entire postseason. But my problem is he's not always on, and he in the regular season every night he's giving you pretty much every single night in the regular season. Yeah. The postseason, he has times where he does, but he also has times where he doesn't as a superstar.
You gotta do both.
You can't be consistent.
If he becomes consistent in the playoffs, he will be considered a superstar.
Absolutely,
no doubt.
And I think you can argue that he could be now, but yeah,
I think he is now. Especially, I mean, after that 71-point game, how much more does he have to do?
Exactly. Exactly.
Seriously. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not a superstar. Really? I just had 71 points
Yeah.
for like in my sleep, you know. He's going for the 100 burger. Here it comes. He's going for it. Uh what's next on the docket? What else you got?
My contenders for the Western Conference. For my contender, I'm gonna say the Denver Nuggets. The East, it's clear. It's Boston and Milwaukee at the top, and then you give your Philly, Cleveland, Knicks, Miami, and then you go down the West. West is a little more open.
It's very one-sided.
Yeah, so I'll say Denver. This is why. I don't know if they'll be healthy, and if they're not, they might as well not even get out of the second round. But if they are, I think they might go to the finals.
They can go to the finals. Jokic will, claw that team to a finals to have like a 90-point triple double, and they'll still lose by 3. And if you ask me, I think he's the MVP favorite right now. I don't even think it's close.
I don't think it's close either.
I don't think it's close. This guy is averaging a triple double. This guy is almost about to break the record for triple doubles, and he's winning.
Yeah.
Where's my Jokic is a stat pattern, people? Where is he? Where are they? Where are they? He always wins,
Yeah.
So what are you gonna say?
Yeah, and Jamal's never healthy. Porter's hasn't been healthy too much, but I think if they can get those 3 guys healthy for the postseason,
even Aaron Gordon's a pretty good a good piece as well. When he's not crying about losing, he's a good piece.
But and I look at the other teams. Memphis, they got a taste last year, but they are still. I think they're still a piece away, and I still want to see a little more experience from them. So I'm afraid Dylan Brooks is gonna say something stupid, and then they'll get.
And Shannon Sharp's gonna fight him again.
Yeah, and then Phoenix. Look, on paper, Phoenix should probably go to the finals, and it probably
they won't.
But they have like 20 games to put that thing together. So people are saying, "Oh, Chris Paul, Durant, Ayton." Chris Paul is not the same player anymore. Devin Booker and KD, that duo is incredible.
It's gonna suck in the locker room.
Yeah, but that too many egos. Chris Paul isn't the same. DeAndre Ayton will probably rather them lose in the first round so he can just get the heck out of there. I don't think he's on the team next year. So if they had a full season to put that together, I might pick them to win the whole thing. But like 20 games to put that together, I don't know. That's a little too soon for me.
It's a little not enough time.
And Dallas, Luka and Kyrie in the backcourt is like a dream backcourt. That being said, who knows? Kyrie could easily say something stupid, and it'll be a distraction. He might get hurt.
He will get hurt.
Something might happen. And also, outside of Kyrie and Luka, you have Christian Woe, who's a really good scoring big. You have Hardaway, who's a good shooter. They really lack depth that these other teams, even teams like Phoenix and Denver and Memphis, have over them.
Reggie Bullock is not good. He's a great guy. He's just not good.
Yeah, they just don't have the depth. And so my contender is Denver. My pretender, this one's tough because there's so much. The top of the West is really stuffed.
I think your pretender should be the Boston Red Sox.
We're gonna get to them next briefly before we talk some NFL quarterbacks, and then we'll close this thing out.
I think your pretender should be the Spurs getting the number 2 overall pick, not the number 1.
Yeah.
The Houston Rockets are my pretender.
My pretender
What's your pretender?
Huh?
What's your pretender?
I'm thinking my pretender in the Western Conference is.
I think there's a couple of guys you could go. I have 3 in mind that you could go.
You know what? I can't believe I'm saying this. This is a little bit contradictory, a tiny bit contradictory what I just said, because I said if they put it all together, they can go to the final. I think it's the Phoenix Suns.
Ooh,
and this is why.
That's an interesting one. Let me hear your piece, and then I'll explain to you who my 3 pretenders are.
Right. So, like I said, on paper, this team is talent-wise probably top 3 in the league. Kevin Durant is, when healthy, easily top 5 in the league, probably top 3. Devin Booker is he's a top 4 shooting guard in the league. Chris Paul can still help you a little bit. Ayton's a good rim protector. Like, just those 4 guys alone. That's just those 4 guys alone could lead you to a finals appearance. That being said, Durant hasn't played yet. he's not going to play until Wednesday, so he's not going to play for almost another week. So Durant's only going to have he's going to come off missing like almost like 2 months or whatever he's missed. 20 games with guys he's never played with before. Then goes into the postseason. I mean, Devin Booker's great. Ayton, I haven't loved what I've seen from him in the postseason. I mean, he's not there to score 30, but I just don't think he wants to be there. I love Monty Williams, incredible person, and he's a very good coach, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's been out of the second round, and these teams are way too talented.
I mean, but Chris Paul, big time shot, cut the lead down to 42.
That's right. But speaking of Chris Paul, playoffs.
Point peasant. Point.
Yes. Just I remember I mentioned it on my show one time when Justin was in the back. Yes, thank God he finally said it. Chris Paul in playoffs. Do I need to say more?
I say more? Need I?
Do I need to say more? I don't trust him. I don't trust him. So I could honestly lose him in the second round.
See, I like that one. I like that. Oh, do you have more to say?
I was just saying that I could see him losing in the second round. I could see it, as crazy as it seems.
Yeah, I could see it. My top 3 pretenders it was the Timberwolves, which I explained. Also, I think you could throw in I just had the team name up. I swear to God, I'm losing it. It's too the Warriors. I thought you could have thrown in the Warriors. That team is banged up.
I think they're just bad.
Steph Curry is Steph Curry, when healthy, great player, and probably the best shooting guard in the league, best point guard in the league, best 3-point shooter in the league when healthy. When he, like everyone knows, Hall of Famer. No, I'm not gonna try to doubt it. But Klay Thompson, great player, Hall of Famer. His time's up. He's washed. Draymond is not good. Draymond's not good. Jordan Poole is the Kirk Cousins of basketball. He is inconsistent and not good in prime time. That is what he is. There are not these crazy depth pieces to it. They're not that good. They're a pretender. And then another big pretender, the LA Clippers. And you know why? You can't spell Clippers without IR. This team cannot stay healthy. Kawhi is like a glass statue. You move him one bit, and he just shatters. He's like, "Yep, okay, I'm out for 2 weeks," But he's a great player when he's on. He's what you call a glass cannon.
Yeah.
Very delicate, but he's powerful. Paul George, he also has moments where he can't stay healthy, and also Paul George in the playoffs.
He was better. He was better last year, but overall, he hasn't been.
I still have the PTSD of him bricking the side of the backboard.
I know. I was watching that game and how about when he did, I was like, oh my God, he had to be at the side of the
playoff
backboard.
P, crazy. Russell Westbrook brings nothing to this team. Russell Westbrook is your most healthy player, and he's bad. Zubac is a good piece, but he's not great. Batum's okay. Just not that good.
Also, it's the Clippers.
And also, Tyler's not that good of a coach. I'm sorry, he's not that good. He's overrated.
But not elite.
So those are my 3 pretenders, and I'm gonna constantly now you use that quote. You can't spell Clippers without IR.
Please do. All right, that's that segment. Let's before we get to the quarterback carousel, which will close out the show. That's a pretty big segment. There's literally for 2 weeks, Justin has been talking about this. So
it's a big game. It's a big game.
You have been talking it all week.
I'm excited for the game.
Liam lives with us, so he knows.
I haven't been excited for baseball in years.
Today is the first day of spring training. There's 3 games on.
Very exciting.
So one of them is the Boston Red Sox playing Northeastern, the college. So, okay, I just want to put this out there. If the Reds, I don't care that it's the first spring training game. The Red Sox might be playing their Double-A players. If they lose to Northeastern, that's gonna be pretty funny.
Jake, it's bad when a major league baseball team loses to a damn college.
Yeah,
it's bad when they lose that game.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna do some research while you keep talking.
Yeah, I know it's the first spring training game. I doubt the Reds are gonna be playing anyone major, But if they lose to Northeastern, remember in the preseason when the Suns lost to the European team or something that didn't have a single NBA player on it. You had guys who were like you never even heard of. We're dropping 28, 30, 8, setting 8, 9 threes a game.
Jake,
What's up, Liam?
For this game, it's almost like let's compare it to basketball. It's almost like an NBA league versus the G League.
You know, it's almost like the it's almost like the Suns losing to the 96ers.
96ers, they had guys they didn't have a single. They had guys who were never going to be in the NBA ever, dropping 30 points. They were hitting threes like they're hitting threes like they're like the 2018 Rockets, whatever year that was.
Yeah.
They were just except instead of missing 27 in a row, they made 27 in a row, which is what it seemed like. But yeah, like. I think that's so fun. I think that's so funny. The Red Sox are playing Northeastern. Imagine if Northeastern wins.
Yeah, it's just gonna be so funny.
I was gonna be a bad look for the Red Sox during the start of this season.
It's the Red Sox. That's what it's gonna be. They're gonna go back to that. They also it's almost scary to think that the Red Sox could lose this game. Seriously, if they were playing like the Astros, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
If they're even playing like the Yankees or the Mets, I'm not worried. If they're playing the Red Sox, I'm worried.
Playing the Northeastern and they lose, yeah, that would be
North. All right, so basically what I'm trying to say is let's go Huskies. Let's go Northeastern Huskies. Next up's gonna be the shoe baseball team playing the Red Sox.
If Sacred Heart baseball team beats the Red Sox should be defunded. They should be
relegated to they should be relegated to the AAA.
They should be relegated to like a AA baseball team.
AA.
Like to put in comparison. Okay, it's a little bad if you lose to another major league team, but it's a lot worse if you lose to a Division I college.
Yeah, I was trying to look up what division they were, because somewhere in my mind, I was like, imagine if they're D2. Imagine like they're D2 or 3. Like, yes, D1 is better athletics, but also Sacred Heart is D1, so basically it doesn't mean much.
It doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply, yeah. You're in the American East. They were in the American East last year.
Like, what was it?
They're in the American East or Northeastern?
Yeah, they were in the American East last year.
Boston loses
the Red Sox are about to get screwed.
It'd be a lot more funnier if the Huskies baseball team is the club team.
Oh my god. It's not, but that'll be funny.
I know it's not, but just imagine it. A major league team lost to a club team when they just play for fun.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna. I assume Red Sox are gonna win, but it would just be so funny if they didn't.
Yeah. Listen, I know you have a QB rotation thing to go, so I'm gonna make this quick because we got a student. I gotta help out. Because she just texted me. But real quick to talk about your QB thing. Real quick, Aaron Rodgers' whole Darkness Retreat thing's almost like Groundhog's Day. If he sees his shadow, he's going to the Packers. If he doesn't, he's going to another team. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Apparently, he wants to stay with the Packers, which is crazy. But anyway, Derek Carr's going to the Jets. Let's go Huskies. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Justin, for appearing on the show again. I'm sure he'll be back next Friday. All right, so I'm gonna run through the quarterbacks and predict where they're gonna go and talk about some stuff. Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what's gonna happen with him. This dude's weird. He had a Darkness Retreat. Apparently, he was like staying in like this dark room with like a queen size bed. I mean, to be honest, it seems like he's preparing living in New York City. I mean, these New York City one-room apartments are crazy expensive. We've got one bed in it, and the electric barely works. Just saying. But in all seriousness, I would love if the Jets got him. I think they could. I think they can win a playoff game with him, and they have not won a playoff game since 2010. That was the last time they were in the playoffs. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. I know I brought in Hack. I think it's still possible, but I'm hearing reports that we got Jeff Dark tweeting out that he plans to stay with the Packers. But now he comes out of his Darkness Retreat, and now apparently he's on shore. So I can't get a read on this dude anymore.
For what? What for Rogers?
Yeah, Liam. I can't get a read on this dude anymore. You know what, Liam? You're a
Okay.
Packer right now. Have you heard anything?
I have heard nothing, but if things from the past was true, if Rogers do decide to stay on the Packers, then we'll lose our backup, Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think Love requests a trade if he says they've sat on him for 3 years.
They
Give him a
have.
shot. Give him a shot somewhere. I think Love. If I'm Love, if he comes back, I'm saying I'm going somewhere else.
Like if Rogers does get traded off somewhere, it might follow like a little bit of Packers tradition of either going to the Jets if he's going that route. If not, if I remembered, I forgot where I read it from. He might go to the Vikings. No, not the Vikings. It's either the Vikings or the Raiders.
Definitely, it's the Raiders.
It's the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Like, I know I'm a Packers fan. I just don't want Rodgers on my team no more. The way he's been playing. At least if we have Love to start, then we might have a higher chance of going back into the playoffs. I'm not saying 100% we will, but we're gonna have a higher chance with Love playing than what we'll have with Rodgers.
You just might at this point. You just might at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rodgers. I think I'm not sure if he's coming to the Jets. I'm not sure if he's going to be willing to work with the young players. That being said, he definitely Nathaniel Hackett had a big impact on him when he was the offensive coordinator in Green Bay. So I think that could definitely lure him in. But
It could.
I don't know. I think it's. I think a week or two ago, if you ask me, I would say I think the Jets get him. Now I'm thinking he might go to the Raiders. He
But
could easily stay. He could go to the Jets, but I think it's a little more unlikely that he goes to the Jets now.
yes, true. No, Rodgers, he doesn't like the younger players. But let's say if Rodgers somehow gets traded to the Jets, what do you think the Jets going to trade for Rodgers?
I don't know. I would like to not give up a first round pick for him, but at this point,
But the thing is, will it be a first round pick or a player they already have on the team?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the rest. I heard at one point they want 2 first round picks for him, but I'm not sure if anyone's willing to give that up, considering
Rodgers
that
is going downhill.
that he's 38 years old, not quite the same player, and he's on a huge contract. So I'm not
True.
sure if they're going to be willing to give that out. I'm not sure if Green Bay is going to eat some money. So
The thing is, Rodgers experienced the same thing like Brady, but on a lesser scale. Of course, Rodgers may not have the amount of wins Brady have, but he's experiencing the exact same thing what Brady's going now. He's one of the oldest players. He's not passing well as he did in the prime like Brady. Like he's going downhill what Brady just happened from the past 2 seasons.
yeah, he's not the same anymore. I mean, Tom Brady, he needed to retire. He was absolutely washed. He
was.
He wasn't even a starter in this league anymore. But Rodgers can still be, if you give him pieces, he can still be a decent starting quarterback.
Thing is,
He won't win MVP, but he can still be an average starter.
of course, he would not be the MVP, but if you give him good weapons to play with, he can bring it back on. He can still be a decent quarterback with great weapons to have for wide receivers, a great O line, and probably a great D line too, that can give him a still fighting chance.
Yeah. Yeah. But moving on, Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr might be going to the Jets. You know, they met with him last week, or it might even been this week. I think it was this week. The meeting went really well. I know his brother David Carr, who's next quarterback, he at one point he's now an analyst for NFL Network. He said Derek Carr's probably going to take his time. If his decision, he's going to evaluate everything. Apparently, the Jets told Derek Carr he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he joins the Jets. That's blasphemous, but he could definitely get the Jets to the playoffs. He's a solid starting quarterback. If you give him weapons, and the Jets have that, he's had bottom 5 defenses, almost at least bottom 10 every single year he's been with the Raiders. Sometimes bottom 3, and he'll have a top 10 defense if he joins the Jets. So that will help. So I think Jets win 9 or 10 games and get to the playoffs with Derek Carr. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo's another guy's available. I think Jimmy G goes to Tampa. I think it's just that's a really good fit for him. He's got two good receivers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He's got a good running game with Rashad White and Leonard Fournette. They definitely need to improve their offensive line. That being said, I think they can do that, and if they do, I think Jimmy, that could be a real good spot for Jimmy G. I know that they said they might be sticking with Kyle Trask. You took him a second round a few years ago, but if I'm them, if you had Jimmy G and improve your O-line, I think they're a playoff team, and they might win that division. That division is absolutely terrible. With Jimmy G, they probably go 9-8, 10-7, which might be good enough to win that division. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson.
Lamar?
Yeah, I think he gets tagged. I think he gets traded. I don't think he goes back to Baltimore. They didn't pay him last year. He can't stay healthy. I think the last 2 years he sat out because he knew his contract was coming. He thought it was coming last year. They couldn't agree. So he's all right. I'll play him a tag for 1 year. Then he got to pay me. I mean, now he knows it's coming. So he's sitting out. Again with the injury, which I think he's kind of over exaggerating the last 2 years.
What type of injury did he have?
He had like a sprained PCL. He should have been back in 3 weeks, and he missed like the last 6 weeks of his season. He didn't play in the playoffs either because he knows he's got a bag coming. Also, if you're Baltimore, do you pay Lamar $250 million?
I wouldn't.
I don't think you do. So with Lamar can get a huge bag from somebody. It doesn't make sense for the Ravens to pay him. He's not worth that money.
It's not like with his injury he's been having for the past 2 years. I think he just should retire. If not,
I don't know about retire. It's not like he has a concussion like Tua. You might have a case for.
It's not like the Dolphins quarterback.
Okay, yeah, like Tua, yeah, but he. Like, you're not giving him $250 million. You just aren't.
I might cut down maybe to 150 between the range of 150 to max, probably around the range between 50 million and 150. I'll pay him that much.
Yeah, probably total AAV. I'm gonna give him probably more than 35. So you do the math. That probably I'm not even giving him 200 million to be honest.
Like, he's not big in the amount for 200 million.
Yeah,
probably maybe high or mid 100s. Probably, if I'm not max, probably a mid 100 range of million towards maybe a low. I'm thinking between 50 to 60 mil would be a okay range for Lamar.
Yeah, I think they tag him. They'll try to sign him to a reasonable deal. He'll say, no, you got to give me $250 million guarantee. And you'll say, you're crazy. And I think they move him. I think he's going to Atlanta. I know, it's been a real speculation that could be a spot for him. I like him in Arthur Smith's offense. He needs a little help there. But, I like the tight end pits there. I do like Drake London. They need to add a couple more pieces. Especially, they need to improve that offensive line. But I do, and that team is not good. That team is terrible. But I think Lamar's a good start. I think that's where he goes. When it comes to Daniel Jones, I think he'll be back to John. I think he gets tagged. He ain't getting $45 million. That's ridiculous. But I think he gets tagged. The tag will come to a little over $30 million. I think that's what happens. I think he plays on the tag. And then we got. When it comes to Geno Smith,
I hate to interrupt you, but we got 45 minutes till Red Sox play Northeastern. Moving.
Justin,
just hurry up a bit.
I want to watch the Huskies.
Justin and Lee are very excited for this. I'll make sure the show's almost over. Don't worry. Geno Smith, he had obviously best year of his career by far. He was the most accurate quarterback in the league. 27 touchdowns against 9 picks. I think he gets tagged by Seattle, and they might try to work something out. But I think he might play on the tag. I'm not sure if they want to give him a bag quite yet, but he'll be in Seattle next year. By the way, this is my message to the Chicago Bears. Don't trade Justin Fields. Okay, please don't. Okay, I think Bryce Young and TJ Stroud could be great quarterbacks, but it's not guaranteed. I think Fields is going to might be better than the both of them. Okay, don't do that. You've had him for 2 years. He's had nothing to work with. Give him some help and see what happens. Next year, if he sucks and you win 4 games again, next year's class will be even better than this one's. It's a no-brainer. Don't trade him. Do not trade Justin Fields.
Jake, I got a quick question to you.
Well, what's up, Liam?
So what will happen now to the Buccaneers after Brady's retirement? Who would they have now for the
Right now, it's Kyle Trask. They took him in the second round 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't love him coming out. Florida quarterbacks would never work out. I mean, Tim Tebow in college was maybe the greatest quarterback ever. And we saw what happened to him in the NFL. He shouldn't have even been a quarterback. I'm not sold on. I was never sold on Trask. This kid Anthony Richardson, I'm not sold on him either. I know people saying he's going in the top 15. I think that's egregious. But so I'm not sold on him. If I'm them, I'm signing Jimmy G, and I do think they will do that. That's my guess. But going back to Fields, don't trade Fields. Please, no. No.
Just a no, Jake?
That's a no. As for the draft this year, I think it's going to be interesting what happens. If I'm the Bears, I'm trading the first pick. I think Bryce is going 1. I think Stroud goes 2nd. I don't think Will Levis is very good. He's got a big arm, but nothing else. Every year there's one guy who's got this big arm, and the GM's getting infatuated over. Zach Wilson, excuse me, hello cough there. He's the Zach Wilson of this class. Not sure if we as bad. I don't think he's I don't think he's gonna bang someone's mom and be a complete baby. But I'm sure you guys get what I'm trying to say. I think he'll be a top 10 pick, but the team will live to regret that. That's what I think is going to happen. And as for quarterbacks who could get extensions, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts, they might all get it. I think the Bengals definitely lock up Burrow. I do think the Eagles lock up Hurts. Herbert, I'm not sure about, because if you're Joe Burrow, you have no reason to want to leave Cincy. They have so many of them. They got a great team. He's from Ohio. He started before LSU. He went to Ohio State. He has no reason to leave. If you're Jalen Hurts, he is such a perfect fit in that system. He's got such a great team. Him and Sirianni are a really good match. You have no reason to leave. If you're Herbert, yes, he's got some really good weapons, but that defense ain't good. Staley can't coach. That's not a good organization. If I'm him, I wouldn't mind maybe waiting to test the market. That being said, if they throw like $4 million at him, I don't see him turning it down. So I think he might get locked up as well. But he's a bit of a maybe. A lot of teams need quarterback. We already talked about the Jets. The Raiders might need a quarterback. I think that's the most likely scenario for Aaron Rodgers getting traded to the Raiders. I mean, McDaniels is an awful coach, the worst head coach in the league. But he also reunites with Devontae Adams. With those weapons, he can do a lot of good things. Talk about the Bucs. Carolina, I think they need somebody. We'll see what happens. I think Indy's going to address I think they might trade up the first pick. Commanders, I heard they might roll Sam Howell. I know Eric Bieniemy likes him. I think Derek Carr could also work there. Because I think the Commanders can make the playoffs with Derek Carr. The defensive coordinator in Washington is Jack Del Rio. He was one point the head coach of the Raiders for Derek Carr. I don't know what the Raiders are going to do. I do think they trade Lamar. I can see a package around Desmond Ritter and then a couple first-round picks. And they see what this kid Desmond Ritter's got. He only played like 3 or 4 games last year. Didn't do anything special. He also had a terrible team and probably wasn't even ready. Their season was over, and Marcus Mariota was not any better. So they figured, let's give it a try. So, Seattle, I'm sure will re-sign Gino. Like I said, Tennessee's an interesting one. They got Tannehill for another if they want. I mean, Malik Willis looked horrible. He got benched for Josh Dobbs. He's still really young. He's only played a couple of games, but not like what I'm seeing so far. I think, contrary to what I thought at the beginning of last year, I think they bring Tannehill back for another year, and they'll see how Willis' progression goes. If Willis makes strides, maybe towards the end of the year, depending on how the year goes for Tennessee, he gets a shot. Remember, they got a new GM there, but if he doesn't make strides, I think they'll stick with Tannehill for a year, see if they can make the playoffs, and then next year they'll go a completely different direction. All right, that's all I got. Thank you Justin and Liam, for your help, both in front of the camera. Liam gave his comments from the back room. Both of them helped me out in the back room like they always do. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.